There will be spoilers ahead. Lots of spoilers, so be careful, won't you?
Hello, you all. Welcome to Comrade Maximov and Comrade Mikhail's collective appreciativeness of movie films to celebration of glorious Soviet collective. Today, you will enjoy smartness discussion of delightful comedy romp, The Death of Stalin, which is to be teaching many wonderful lessons of glorious Soviet history. Thank you, Comrade Stalin, for to be making us laugh at love again. We will be chuckling fondly at glorious Soviet acting men such as Comrade Stefansky Buscemi, Jeffrey Tamborovich, and Mikhail Palinovsky. You will find movie film moving and thinking-provoking and be most pleased by brilliant state-approved banner between Comrade Maximov and Comrade Mikhail, or you will be taken out and re-educated by Bureau of Education Firing Squad of Education. Now sit up straight and relax in state-approved manner to be introduced to your glorious hosts. It is my honor to represent state as Comrade Max. No, really, my last name isn't Jewish, Levine. And over in other place, standing to attention while tongue-kissing glorious state flag, is Comrade Mikhail. Allow me to make you laugh in state-approved amount. Lusovich, Kon, Mishkin, Pushkin, Novich, Ski. Sing praises of glorious Chairman Bumbovsky, Mikhail.
Hello, I am Oleg Pushimov. Have you seen Moose and Squirrel?
Darling, why are you patting Moose on back?
Looking for a place for a knife.
Wow. So I guess now this show has become a question of who can Max insult this week.
That's right. But the Russians are noticeably well known for being easygoing, funny folks who are very, very forgiving.
And also don't listen to our show.
Oh, we're huge in Russia. I just know it. But you know what else is huge? Our poll question.
Poll question.
We wanted to know, what is your favorite science fiction film? Which still amazed me we have not asked that in over 300 episodes.
Amazing, isn't it?
From the science fiction-y post-apocalyptic wasteland in the north, the fictional land of Canada.
Tetsuo!
That's Canada!
Tetsuo!
We have Vince, who tells us, one of my favorite movies, not just sci-fi, is... Please don't say sci-fi, Vince.
Why?
It hurts my heart.
Why? What are you supposed to say?
Science fiction, SF.
What's wrong
Sci-fi was just... It was a thing people threw around a lot in the old days. And it was usually from people who'd never... Yeah, I'm saying it's the old days, 70s and 80s. I
1870s and 80s, the old gaslight times.
That's right. When that kid Jules Verne was coming out with his stuff and the young H.G. Wells, they were throwing that around. Oh, it just hacked me off. I wrote a letter to the Times.
And Collier's.
Yep.
The old days. All right.
Yes. Not just sci-fi is Metropolis. Not Megalopolis. Metropolis. I love the look and the simple message in it. The robot is one of, if not the best one ever. You're not alone. A lot of people think the Maria bot is amazing.
George Lucas did. Oops.
I first saw it in a church basement with 10 other people and a piano player doing the music.
Oh, weird.
You know, that's kind of the way to do it.
Yeah.
Since then, they found almost another movie's worth of missing scenes, and it's better than ever. After that, it has to be 2001: A Space Odyssey. See our entire episode on 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
I watch it at least every couple of years. Other films are maybe more fun or great in their own way, but these two really stick out for me.
Neat.
Well, you should sand them down before you get hurt.
No.
But nice one there, Vince. Professor Dr. Rebecca Pelkey, and this woman is a doctor, says...
And a professor.
And a professor of doctor.
No.
Tough question. For teaching, some of my favorites are Attack the Block, starring a pre-Star Wars John Boyega. That is actually a really cool movie, even if I needed subtitles to get the accents.
Oh, I never heard of that one.
Yeah, it takes place in the bad part of London, and they're all talking in heavy London accents and a lot of London slang.
Oh, East Stabbington. Okay.
Yes, East Stabbington. Also, Alien and unpopular opinion, Oblivion. Oh boy, which is cinematographically beautiful. The Empire Strikes Back is definitely in the mix along with Serenity. That's quite a selection. Thank you, Doc. Keith Wright responds to the good Dr. Professor with, Attack the Block is so good. The woman who plays the neighbor Judy Whittaker, I'm not entirely sure I got her last name correct, became the first female Doctor Who, if I'm not mistaken. That's right, Jodie Whittaker. I think that's right.
Jodie Whittaker? Wait, that was Sigmund and the Sea Monsters.
That was Johnny Whittaker.
Oh! Same thing. Well, he played Jodie on Family Affair. That's maybe...
That's where you're getting confused. Quote, they're never going to call you Mayhem if you keep acting like a... Can't say the word. Everyone, unquote, everyone who likes sci-fi should see this movie. Also starring Nick Frost and Harry Treadway. Treadway, I think I've been in their hotel. Oh, it's Treadaway. Harry's twin Luke is also an actor, so I get them confused, so it could be Luke. He also loves Galaxy Quest, Alien, and Aliens.
Wait, that's the third one. Aliens is the second one.
No, the second one. Aliens is the second. That's the one he likes.
I say nobody loves Aliens.
Yeah. Dave. Says. Well, I thought you were doing the Imperial probe droid.
No, I was doing Mars Attacks.
Okay. Do not run. We are your friends. I get to see so few sci-fi movies because my better half doesn't enjoy them, and on personal time, samurai movies and samurai TV are a priority. Well, of course. I loved the 2 new Dune movies. They captured the story well, beautifully filmed, cool effects, but story-driven, not effects-driven. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Galaxy Quest totally hit my funny bone. I had no idea what to expect and loved the heck out of it. We've got to get out of here before one of these things kills Guy.
That was a big one. We have, 3 votes for that one so far?
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Yep.
And to be fair with Dave, of course, see our entire anniversary episode on Dune Parts 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm. And the one that everyone wants to forget, Dune 3 with Sofia Coppola. Yeah. Nick Hoffman says, tough question. But if you marinate it well, because it's such a broad category. That's fair. I guess my current favorite is Interstellar.
Oh.
Profound story, unbelievable effects, especially the singularity, and rock-solid performances. Okay, that's an interesting one.
All right.
Right. Roland the Headless Thompson Gunner Hardy.
No, please think of something else.
Invasion of the Body. You know how long it took me to come up with one thing? It says,
why do you have to come up with anything?
It's what I do. Invasion of the Body Snatchers. It was plant-based. Lol.
Yeah.
Okay, I missed that one.
Well, so he's just, putting in a vote for vegetarian-based films.
Oh, okay.
I just didn't know if he meant the original one or the new one. See our entire episode on both of them.
Yeah. Our scholar, Adam Mark, says, amidst the grand multi-edition fandoms of Star Wars, Trek, and so on, I want to give a shout-out for the quieter entries to the genre. I want to give out a shout-out for starting your sentence with a subordinate clause. Well done, sir. Sci-fi is fundamentally man versus technology, where a little can go a long, long way.
Sometimes season after season.
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind follows 2 individuals, Jim Carrey's Joel and Kate Winslet's Clementine, who undergo a memory erasure procedure to forget each other after the dissolution of their romantic relationship. The film explores how a memory erasure device could be used or misused, and what ordinary people gain and lose by the seemingly commonplace device. Carrey and Winslet totally make the film, and its surrealist approach is intelligent and captivating. That's a point.
Yeah.
Another sci-fi film, is that approaches things without the whiz-bang, isn't that Sinbad? Spaceship aliens motifs is Yesterday.
That's not
your
Sinbad.
Entire episode on Yesterday, in which a struggling musician, Jack, is hit by a bus during a never-explained 12-second global power failure. After recovering, He sings the Beatles song Yesterday for his friends and discovers that they have never heard of the Beatles. Indeed, no one has. Jack suddenly finds himself as the only person who remembers the Beatles and becomes famous and deemed a true genius for allegedly writing and performing their songs. And also having to meet Ed Sheeran. We explore the morals of unearned stardom versus denying the world some of the best rock music ever written. An excellent film where the sci-fi is subtle, creating the drama but not overwhelming it. Intriguing. Thank you, Adam.
The Hoodles?
Yes. The Ruttles, I believe.
That's a very, very generous definition of the term science fiction to me. However,
alternate reality stuff, sure.
Well, except that there's no real science
element
in it.
is completely missing.
Right. That being said,
Mm-hmm.
my feeling about science fiction is it's at its best when it's really talking about the effect the quote-unquote science or the result of said science has on real people. So he does bring up good points. So this time I'll allow it, but you watch it, Adam, Mark.
Okay, yep, you're on watch now. You're on double secret public probation. Brandon Day and the Knights says, thinking strictly of harder science fiction, not like Star Wars, then I'll take The Martian, 2001, the first Terminator, and another vote for Interstellar. Interesting. Thanks, Brandon.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting selection.
The Martian was a lot. I think they tried their best to stick to as close to science as possible, which is rare. And it was also entertaining because often those two things don't go together, but
they don't fit. Yeah. George Saulnier. Is it Saulnier?
Yes.
I always get that wrong. I like Arrival, another one for Arrival. Cool, because it deals with aliens who are not humanoid and have physical limitations. I like Colossus the Forbin Project because of its ending. I don't. It's too damn believable. Especially now.
But I give them credit for doing it because there's always happy endings, and they were like, nope.
Nope, bad ending. But ultimately, I think my favorite is 2001: A Space Odyssey because of its scope, filmmaking, and because it could be the best movie ever made. Wow, bold there, George.
Wow.
But okay. Wow.
It's our entire episode on 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah. Tyler Stewart says, I really liked Donnie Darko. Oh, wow.
That's science fiction?
It depends if you believe what happens in it is actually happening, then yes. Otherwise, it's about someone having a massive mental breakdown.
I mean, he does own a science fiction bookstore.
Yeah, because I had no idea. Well, the man is a professional. I had no idea where the movie was going and how it would end, and that is vanishingly rare for me.
Huh.
Also, Never Let Me Go just stays with me. It's a quiet gem of a film in a similar vein as Children of Men. It's very English, as the protagonists go along with the dictates of their dystopian society. It's about perceived duty and empathy.
Cool. Don't know those last two.
I know. Never Let Me Go.
Wait, is Children of Men the one where men and women are separated?
No, it's the one where people have stopped having children.
Oh, okay, but it doesn't. Isn't the whole crux is somebody gets pregnant somehow and they're
okay? Well, they found the one pregnant woman.
Oh, so I heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah. Aaron Perez says Minority Report. Great story and not too far-fetched tech. The precogs are a bit far-fetched, but who knows? You think?
See, Aaron.
I'm sorry, Aaron. A lot of the tech in there that always gets me is the retinal recognition, so that everywhere you go, the ads are targeted. That's going to happen tomorrow.
Well, Kroger is already implementing it, and my vote is no.
Oh, God.
It's not retinal, though. It's facial, but that's just as bad. But Sierra and entire episode on Minority Report.
Taking time off to work on his science fictional invention, the Tatum, Richard Tatum says, oof. The Fifth Element, maybe. See our entire episode on The Fifth Element. But this is a rabbit hole question.
Yeah.
Depends on the subgenre, and there are so many. And I believe you mean wabbit hole.
Duck hole.
Wabbit hole!
Duck hole, fire!
Kelly Cooper says, so my answer is a bit on the horror side of science fiction, but I love the movie Tremors. Yes,
that is
I will
fun.
absolutely give you that. Guess you broke into the wrong goddamn rec room.
Gave Fred Ward something to do.
Yep. It's got a genuinely creepy premise. Yes, it does. Likeable protagonists, fun, fringy characters, great tension, and spoiler alert, a stand-up and cheer climax. Infinitely watchable. Yep.
Neat.
I can't argue with any of that.
I haven't seen it in a long. I saw it when it came out, and it was sort of an indie film, and it was surprisingly fun.
It is. I mean, and who would have thought of pairing up Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward?
They were great.
They did. They had great chemistry. And from our phone lines,
What?
Cheese Boy himself, Ned. Have a listen.
Hey there, it's Ned. My favorite science fiction movie, and actually a late-breaking entry to your series, you asked for it, is Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. This is the film that launched Studio Ghibli and Hayao Miyazaki's career. That's right, and you've probably never heard of it. I just adored this movie. Max and I actually have a funny story about when I first watched it, but it totally changed my definition of what heroism was. And there's just something magical about it. I think the other thing that makes this film stand out is that every single character is absolutely believable. You understand where they've been, and they seem like a real human being. And the movie does this while being gorgeously animated and under 2 hours long. Honestly, it's a great time. If you haven't seen it, get out there. Go see it. Oh, and did I mention the incredible voice cast? With a fantastic mix of both celebrity and professional voice actors. Woo-woo. Thanks all for the show.
Really? Bet you've never
Nausicaa.
heard of it. Dear Cheese Boy.
Ned, I believe you and I watched it together.
Never mind, Dear Cheese Boy. Saw it in the theater, have the comic on my shelf. But hey, interesting choice, because it is that's a masterclass in world building, because as much as it's quote unquote our Earth, there's literally not a single blade of grass in that has anything to do with us now.
Yeah. I gotta say, I'm rather surprised. This is the first animated science fiction movie anybody's brought up.
It's true.
Nice one.
Thank you, Ned.
Yeah. And now, ready yourself for the honeyed tones of my honey bun,
Oh dear.
Doris.
Hello, Max Mike Movies. Hi, Max. So I'm a simple Maya here to answer your poll question, which is this week is, what is your favorite sci-fi movie? Oh my goodness, why don't you ask what is your favorite letter of the alphabet, or what is your favorite word in the dictionary? There's so many! But I have three that I'm going to say, just because. My first one is Arrival, because I love the way that these aliens come down. We have no way of talking to them, but they're not killing us. They're not attacking us. They're wonderful. We're the assholes. Oops, can I say that? Oh, we're the you-know-what. Anyway, I just love the way that goes and how they finally figure out how to talk to each other. And for that same kind of thing, Contact. I really like Contact. I know it's not the best sci-fi movie out there, but I think I like Jodie Foster's Drive. And the last one, because I have a soft spot for it, is, Star Wars. Those are my three. There's lots more. Max, would you like to watch a sci-fi movie with me? I got popcorn. I'll wait to see you here next week. I can't wait. Bye.
Huh.
Oh, well, I'll tell you, my favorite letter of the alphabet is D.
Really?
for
It's not
Doris.
P for popcorn? Because apparently that's all it takes.
Oh, you don't have to supply me with popcorn. I'll watch a whole science fiction marathon with you any time there, Doris.
Yeah, that's
So we got-
another show.
Yeah. So another one for Arrival. That was surprisingly popular. And of course, Star Wars. Contact. It is a good cold medication, but...
I really like that film. You don't like Contact?
It is... I liked it up until the end. I thought the end was kind of a cop-out. Again, I also respect that they made a choice.
Yeah.
But most of it I really liked. Again, that was one where I thought the science was also believable, and the social and political aspects.
I think the reason that I can deal with Contact's ending a little bit more than I can deal with Interstellar's ending is, at least with Contact, if you believe the Clarice character... Oops, no, I'm sorry. If you believe her character saw and what she did, then her faith is based on something witnessed. And that's different than Interstellar, where it's like, love brings the whole universe together, which I had a little problem with. Although I did really like the film. I will say with Interstellar, I thought that they kind of copped out because I don't think he should have made it back, but that's okay. But Max, because I snuck in first. What's your favorite science fiction film or films? I'm betting there's more than one.
None of your business. Moving on.
No.
Yeah, that's the problem. Picking one, I don't know if I could.
I don't know that anybody did.
Yeah, most people didn't come up with just one. I mean, even Richard, who said, The Fifth Element, said this is a rabbit hole question. I don't know. Close Encounters of the Third Kind just blew me away when I saw it. It was so well done. The special effects really aren't there until the end. I mean, there are little bits here and there, but if I had to pick one, I would go with that or the original Star Wars, which was one of those that just changed movies forever.
Yeah.
It changed the whole genre. That, and I got to say, Day the Earth Stood Still.
The Day the Earth Stood Still was, especially for its time, a great depiction of what we'd likely do if an alien showed up. He moved! Fire! So, yeah.
Alien season! Fire!
Yeah, pretty much.
And I don't think it's really necessary, but I would like to stress, I'm talking about the Michael Rennie version, not the Keanu Reeves one.
I forgot they'd made one.
Good.
I'm from outer space.
Whoa. Aliens and stuff.
No, you're not.
Oh, no. He's a very nice man. What about you? Do you have a favorite? Is that possible?
This has been my genre since I was a kid.
Yeah.
I have a real soft spot for Andromeda Strain. I really like that movie, and that is a movie where literally nothing happens.
It's a lot of sitting and looking at things.
But it's as sciencey as it gets, because they have been presented with a very sudden, out-of-planet potential pandemic. And they literally don't even know what it's made of first. They don't even know how it got there, because what it does is so new and horrifying. And you basically watch what it would take for people to figure out what this thing is and how to deal with it. And it's, I don't know, it's Michael Crichton.
It's fascinating. Yep.
And he wrote the screenplay for it. It's Robert Wise directing, because, Robert Wise is a big name and certainly a great director. It's got an interesting cast of no big stars, but people you've certainly seen in other things. And I've watched it so many times. The soundtrack is really interesting. It's all electronic. It's not really musical per se, but I really like the Andromeda Strain. For animated, if you want to watch something that's going to make you go, yeah, that's what seeing something utterly alien feels like, Fantastic Planet. That is a weird film, but it...
Yes, but you have to like it because it's French.
No, I don't. That's not a reason. No, you're fired. I will go with you. Close Encounters, I think, is an underrated film because it's not talked about much, but I saw it many times in the theater when it came out, and I've seen it since. I wish he hadn't added that extra crap onto the end because it doesn't help. I don't like it at all.
Unnecessary.
But really well acted. It's a much more humanistic approach to dealing with an alien encounter. Even the government isn't as bad as it could have been. And it's a long film. It's over 2 hours, I think, but it really moves along. And it's so much more about the people than it is about even the aliens. Like, we're not supposed... We see them a little bit at the end, but that's all we should see them. And there's lots of other... I mean, Alien's a great film. Aliens is a lot of fun and stuff. But for science fiction... Andromeda Strain's kind of at the top of the list for me. So, but
cool.
Yeah.
Well, that, like many of the others, were great answers. Thank you all.
Yes.
But the singularity of our show, which draws in everything around it, including even light, demands more trivia.
Did you just say our show sucks?
Yes. Our show has an event horizon.
Oh, dear. Was it around 200 episodes ago?
I think so. But... the new question I want to know is, what is your favorite political film, thriller or otherwise? And at the end of the show, we will reveal the secret plot twist of how to answer the question. Spoiler,
plot twist.
It's not a twist. But first... the facts. Death of Stalin. The budget, $13 million.
Huh.
Box office, $24 million.
I mean, for an independent
not
film that
really.
you and I have never heard of, that's not bad.
I had heard of it. I remember seeing at least the poster for it because it reminded me of those Soviet era, work for the state posters they used to put up. The movie is based on a 2-volume award-winning French graphic novel, which I did not know.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yep.
Okay.
This movie was... Now, brace yourself for a shock. This movie was banned in Russia
What?
on January 23rd, 2018, 2 days before it was due to be released. The Cultural Ministry stated, the distribution circuit for the film, this is exactly what it sounded like, The Death of Stalin has been withdrawn. One member of the Culture Ministry's advisory board was quoted as saying, the film desecrates our historical symbols, the Soviet hymn, orders and medals, and Marshal Zhukov is portrayed as an idiot. I noticed I didn't say anything about Stalin, and added that the movie's release in advance of the 75th anniversary of the end of the Battle of Stalingrad would be an affront to Russia's World War II veterans.
I see.
Sure. Speaking of Georgy Zhukov, Jason Isaacs, of all people, who plays him, actually is wearing fewer medals than the real-life Zhukov did. Zhukov, if you see that, he looks like he's been paved.
Wow.
Yeah. The writer and director of this, Armando Iannucci, thought that the real number of medals was too unbelievable. Also, Zhukov did not have a big facial scar, even though Isaacs wanted to play. He also... Jason Isaacs plays him with a Yorkshire accent.
Well, he's not alone. We'll get to that.
Yeah, I'll get to that. And he explains it by saying, the bluntest people I know are Yorkshiremen.
Not the Welsh. That's interesting. I would have bet on the Welsh, but okay.
Armando Iannucci insisted on not having the characters speak with Russian accents for 2 reasons. He thought it would take the audiences out of the movie.
Really?
And he didn't want the actors and actresses to worry about their accents while improvising. There was a fair amount of improv in this.
Okay.
In a promotional interview on BBC Radio 5 for the UK release, Iannucci said that Russian journalists who previewed the movies praised this decision. Probably because they couldn't stand hearing people butcher Russian accents.
What are you talking about, butchering accents? We all know
We
how
have
to do
no
them
accent.
perfectly.
In one scene, Lavrenti Pavlovich Beria, Simon Russell Beale, locks a young woman in a cell and later gives her a bunch of flowers upon release.
Yeah.
Beria in real life was a notorious sexual predator, sometimes driven around Moscow in search of victims to assault. After Beria had finished with his victims, they were routinely offered a bunch of flowers. To accept was to imply that whatever happened was consensual. To refuse could lead to arrest, torture, and disappearance.
Could?
So, yeah. The opening scenario in the concert hall was based on a real incident,
Oh, dear.
although it happened years before Stalin died. The pianist was Maria Udino. They actually did have to use 3 conductors, not 2, because the first one, he didn't knock himself out, but he freaked out so much he couldn't do it. The second one was too drunk. And they got a third one, and Iannucci felt that was too unbelievable.
Wow. I can't
Yeah.
believe this movie has been toned down.
It has so been toned down.
Wow.
Maria Udina, the pianist, she was a real person. She was incredibly brave. Her family was killed by Stalin, and we see her slip a note into the recording sleeve, just telling him what she thinks of him. In reality, Stalin sent her 20,000 rubles after receiving the record, and that's when she responded with a thank you note saying, "I will pray for you day and night and ask the Lord to forgive your great sins before the people and the country." This would usually mean, death, but she was never arrested.
Huh.
And a lot of Russian dissidents make a pilgrimage to her grave every year since her death in 1970.
Interesting.
Vasily Stalin's alcoholism was just as serious as portrayed in this movie, and it probably led to his death at the age of 40.
I mean, all things considered, we don't actually see him drink that much.
He has vodka everywhere.
Well, you know.
The movie alludes to the 1950 plane crash in Sverdlovsk that killed all 19 on board, including 11 players from the Soviet Air Force hockey team, the team doctor, and a masseur. Vasily Stalin, it's Stalin's son, the team's patron, so feared his father's reaction that he tried to downplay the seriousness of the crash and rushed to recruit replacement players in hopes that his father wouldn't find out. And he never did.
Well, he died.
We see this in the movie. When the Politburo first discovers Stalin's comatose body after his stroke, they briefly allude to how they, quote, got rid of the good doctors in Moscow. This is a reference to a real thing called the Doctor's Plot, a campaign in 1952 and 53 that accused doctors of conspiring to assassinate Soviet leaders. By a staggering coincidence, virtually all the doctors they accused were Jews.
What?
Yeah, I know. Hard to believe.
That's strange.
Stalin was a rabid anti-Semite. When Stalin collapses from the stroke, one guard, hearing his collapse, asks his colleague if they should investigate, and the other one says, "Shut up before he kills both of us." Stalin left explicit standing orders not to disturb him while sleeping. That is why no one tried to investigate why he didn't wake up at the usual time. Because, yes, he had people killed for doing it. By the way, when the replacement doctors, the not good doctors, are called, one of them, the young one who claims to be 29, is Emilio Iannucci, the son of the writer and director.
So he just kept lying and lying and lying.
Yep.
Because first he's young, then he's old, and then
Oh.
now he's the son of the director. Okay.
Yep. In the end credits, we see people being erased from photos. This mirrors the real world, because Soviet government erased a bunch of purged figures from history by altering their images or deleting them from photos.
Like Trotsky.
Yeah, like Trotsky. And did you have any idea who Malenkov was?
Nope.
Yeah, he was general secretary for about 6 months. That was Jeffrey Tambor.
Yep. And his hair.
And his more or less lack of hair, yes.
No, he has hair in the movie.
In the movie, he does, yes. By the way, if you start to feel a little sorry for Michael Palin's character, Comrade Molotov.
The one for whom they named the cocktail?
They did.
Yeah, oh, no, I know.
That is, yeah, you know why?
Because he invented it?
Not exactly. He was one of the architects for the non-aggression pact between Nazi Germany and Russia. And when Finland balked at this, Russia bombed Finland, and Molotov said on the radio, "Oh no, those planes going over are humanitarian aid. They're just dropping food." And the Finns began to refer to the bombs as Molotov's bread baskets. And when they realized when the ground troops moved in, and the Finns began to fight back against the tanks by throwing fire bombs at them, they called them Molotov cocktails, to a drink to go with his food parcels.
Oh.
The Field Marshal Georgy Zhukov kissing Khrushchev on the lips is a reference to the famous kiss between Leonid Brezhnev and Erich Honecker, a famous German communist in 1979.
Ah.
By the way, if you're curious, they keep referring to the NKVD, the secret police.
Shh, that's a secret.
That actually stands for, and I'm going to get this wrong, Narodny Commissariat Внутренних Дел, or the People's Commissariat for Internal Affairs.
Ah.
These guys made the Gestapo look like the Vienna Boys Choir.
And they kept going.
And they did. There's other stuff too, but mostly about the historical accuracies or lack thereof in the movie. You got anything?
No, I'd never even heard of this film.
Well, then let's get to
Tell us the
plot.
Plotsky.
The Plotsky, Trotsky. It's 1953 in the Soviet Union, and the General Secretary Joseph Stalin is dead. Oh, no, he's not. He's getting better. He's going to go for a walk. He feels happy. Oh, no, he's stone dead, leaving a massive power vacuum that all his ministers are now fighting over, tooth, nail, and vodka bottle. The main players are Lavrenti Beria with his NKVD thugs, and Nikita Khrushchev with his scheming and his general Steve Buscemi-ness. They have to deal with Georgy Malenkov, the feckless new general secretary, the bombastic Field Marshal Zhukov, the only Russian officer with a Yorkshire accent, Stalin's rather challenging children, and a host of other plots and machinations to see who will emerge the victor and fill the great man's shoes. Sadly, if you know anything about Soviet history, well, that's kind of the spoiler.
The film.
That was it.
That's it. That's, in a sense, I think that's the plot in the overall. Leaves out detail, but that's the basic plot. It's the power struggle after Stalin dies.
Yeah. The cast is weird because of the way it's listed on IMDb, which is what we usually use. Oops, surprise.
Well, the cast is really strange. I mean, I've seen pictures of Nikita Khrushchev. I do not look at him and think, Steve Buscemi.
And he never once smacks anything with his shoe either.
No, he doesn't.
That being said, I think Steve Steve Buscemi, is he going to do a bad job? No, he's not.
No, of course he's not. He does a great job.
He has that ability of, it's not whining, but it's that sort of Steve Buscemi complaining that's both accurate and annoying at the same time and funny somehow.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, the makeup artists were really mean because they did not do him any favors at all.
Well, Khrushchev was not an attractive gentleman.
I know, but they took Steve Buscemi, they made him pale as absolutely possible without killing him.
They got rid of what hair he has.
And then they stuffed him in a fat suit. And it's like, wow, okay. But I think the thing that surprised me most was, it's so weird to see Khrushchev being ineffectual when we know what happens, which is not being ineffectual. But
thing is, he doesn't stay ineffectual.
No.
He is the one, spoiler, who wins.
Eventually, yeah.
He becomes the next general secretary.
And I gotta say, what an interesting, when I think Nikita Khrushchev, yes, Steve Buscemi. That's apparently what the French film director sounds like, so whatever.
Oh, wow.
Simon Russell Beale, I don't know him from anything. Do you?
I don't either. Not by name. I don't even know. Although his face, I swear to God, looks so damn familiar, but I don't know him. I couldn't tell you what he was actually in.
There's only 50 British actors, so if you've seen anything British, he probably was in
I'm
that
sure
thing.
He's been in it, yeah.
I think he does great.
He is just loathsome. And yet charismatic, and you can see why he's risen to the position he has. Beria was a monster.
Yeah.
I mean, none of these guys are particularly nice, especially not Stalin, who, they estimate his pogroms, the purges, over the 10 or so odd years he was party chair, over 40 million people.
Wow.
He left Hitler in the dust.
I'm amazed there's any Russians left.
Yeah, that's why there are about 6 Jews left in Russia.
Yeah, he did a great job. He was horrible, scheming, the most competent of the group, really.
He was probably the smartest.
Yeah. Jeffrey Tambor. I mean,
He's playing Jeffrey Tambor. I'm sorry, he's so good at playing the stooge.
Yeah, except, to be fair, there was one time he didn't. In Pollock, he plays Greenberg, I think his name is an art critic, and he's actually really good at that too. I like Jeffrey Tambor. It was
I do too.
Both weird but also not out of place seeing him with hair. It's like, I bought it. It was fine.
Yeah.
But Jeffrey Tambor has these weird purple lips, like he eats purple, like grape popsicles all the time. And they do, like, when he's getting his photo taken and stuff to, to be the stand-in party leader, they make up his lips a bit so they look less purple, but it is a weird thing I don't get. But I like Jeffrey Tambor. I'll watch him in anything.
Yeah. He does a nice job. They have next listed, Andrea Riceborough as Svetlana, who, the daughter of Stalin.
I'm sure she didn't go crazy eventually because she's a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, if you get my
more
drift.
than a little, really.
She was fine. I mean, her part's not very big. It's a film, yet again, this is becoming, unfortunately, a trend. It's a film where the women don't have much to do. That being said...
she's not in a lot of scenes, but...
I mean, we usually also argue about the lack of people of color. I think in this case, we can let that pass because I don't think there are any in Russia in the 50s.
They hadn't invented them yet.
Yeah. So she's fine for the parts that she's in.
Yeah. And she has this remarkable combination of brittle and forceful.
Yeah. She did remind me of, so I'm trying to think of a character. Oh, she reminded me of Queen Elizabeth in Blackadder.
Oh, come, really?
Yeah, because she's kind of that manic thing
that
where it's
goofy?
like, oh, she's cuckoo, we don't have to worry about her. Oh, no, she's going to chop my head off. So she had that kind of, and of course she had a British accent, which helped. And then we have the only, I think, possibly Russian person involved in this film at all.
Yes, she is. That's Olga Kurilenko as the pianist Maria Yudina, who is... Honestly, I wanted to know more about her. She was fascinating.
Yeah, and we don't
also, she's friggin' gorgeous.
Yeah, we don't get very much of her, but it's nice to see somebody standing up and basically going, what have I got to lose? Because she doesn't.
She got nothing.
But not there very often. We can skip Sergei.
I'm going to skip a couple of these, but
I'm going to say...
What was Michael Palin doing in this movie?
When he showed up, I'm like, is that Michael Huh? Okay, and I actually have a theory as to why he's here, but...
What's that?
Well, this is supposed to be a comedy, right?
It is, yeah.
And there are points that are funny, but it is about the darkest comedy I have ever seen.
It's pretty dark.
But it's not entirely un-Monty Python-like. It's just like a Monty Python film taken to an extreme.
If you really emphasized the dark and the nasty, I think that's reasonable.
Yeah. I don't
By
know.
the way, did you catch one of his colleagues?
I'm not done with Palin yet.
Sorry.
I don't know anything about Molotov. Partially I'm sitting there thinking one of two things. He's about to turn to his family and say, I'm sorry, we're going to have to sell some from medical experiments. Or it's Floyd the Barber, because he looks exactly like Floyd the Barber.
Oh, Paulina. Oh, Khrushchev.
Yes. Kill people. Oh, programs. Oh.
Yeah, apparently that whole thing with the release of his wife and the arrest, it's pretty consistent with real events. Paulina, she was arrested on bogus charges in 1949. She was in prison for 5 years.
Yeah.
And after Stalin died, and Molotov was forced to divorce her, and he denounced her, and then they got remarried, and they lived together until she died in 1970.
Yikes. Okay.
Yeah.
It's
that must have made for some awkward bedtime conversations.
It's Michael Palin. How can you dislike Michael Palin? He's fun.
He gets to be Michael Palin once when they're in the backseat of the car, and he's with the dog, and he's talking about how we have to kill them, and he's going, yes, Uncle Nicky's going to be dead, isn't he?
I think he's mostly Michael Palin, and that's why I was thinking about his part in Meaning of Life, but there you go.
Did you catch John Cleese? He's in the movie, too. He's one of the assistants for the priests.
Okay, no, totally missed him.
He has no lines. He's wearing a lot of costume, but that's him.
Okay.
Yep.
The humor in this, and I know we're not done with the cast, but the humor in this to me, especially because everyone's sporting their original British accent, except for Steve Buscemi and Jeffrey Tambor, who are inexplicably American.
Pure American.
It's a really interesting choice, but we have a couple more people to talk about.
Let's talk about Jason Isaac.
He swaggers into the film and just grabs it and takes hold of it.
I've never seen him do something. He is like, well, look at all this fine scenery for me to chew. He looks like he's having the best time.
He totally is, and I knew nothing about this General Zhukov thing, but it's like you could tell that he was presenting a character or a real person who is a force to reckon with, but he literally swaggers into the movie, and he is a delight. As horrible as his character is, he made me laugh and smile, and even to the end where it's like he's obviously decided he's going to work with Nikita Khrushchev and, sort of buddy up to him, but there's that moment where he's like, well, gonna have to kill you, and Khrushchev's
your face!
Which,
look, I'm in.
The fact that anybody could make me laugh in this film, they get an extra little round of applause, because this is dark. But who else do we have that's worth talking about?
The kid, what's his name?
Vasily?
The guy who played Vasily.
He's fine.
He does a nice job. I don't know.
He's supposed to be, he's supposed to either drink a lot or he's trying to get booze they won't give him. And he's
Yeah,
obviously...
and it's hard.
The kids of Stalin are obviously a problem because nobody understands what their stature is.
Yeah, and they can't just execute them.
No, or even...
Because these are the children of the father of the country.
And eventually, at least, Khrushchev is like, yes, Svetlana, you need to leave. You're going to leave. I know you can't stay with you really can't stay with your brother. I think there's a sort of, in parentheses, he's probably not going to last much longer.
No.
So
that was, by the way, that was Rupert Friend.
That's a name? Rupert Friend.
That is an actual name. Yep, for one thing, he played Mr. Wickham in the Keira Knightley Pride and Prejudice.
Ah, okay. Rupert Friend.
Yeah, I think he was also somebody under a lot of makeup in one of the Star Wars movies. I don't remember which. Yeah, it might have been. He might have been. I don't know.
So it's
we missed somebody.
Who?
Stalin.
Who played Stalin?
Nobody I have ever heard of. A guy named Adrian McLaughlin.
Ah.
He's another English actor.
Amongst many.
He's known for... Yeah, amongst many. I couldn't tell you anything he's been in. I looked at his credits, and I don't recognize anything.
Oh, we forgot one other person, too. The woman who's playing Woman in Layers of Clothes.
Oh, of course. Well, she walked away with every scene.
And I think she's married to the man in Layers of Clothes.
No, they were divorced before this movie started.
Okay. Yeah, a surprising cast that's doing a really interesting job. So the plot, I mean, the only thing to comment about the plot is I don't think they're pulling... It's actually amazing to find that they're pulling any punches because it's really horrible.
See, you said you only laughed really at that one...
Well, no, there's another.
There are a couple of.
There was one point. I didn't know Stalin had a stroke. I honestly thought he pitched over, and he's lying on the ground lying on his floor in his study there, and it doesn't seem like he's breathing. And the best they can come up with, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. It's like, I don't think there's any fine left in him.
Vasily made me laugh with some of his lines. The son, I still like. He's trying to coach the hockey team, and his main thing is. Play better!
Yeah.
And they're like, yes, they know. I think they know about the plane. What plane? There was no plane. Soviet planes do not crash. And when he's yelling at the doctors, you're not even a person. You're a testicle. You're made mostly of hair.
There's also a point later on where they basically, I think it's Beria has managed to get Khrushchev stuck with the funeral duties, which he does not want to do because who wants to do that? And he's got like the one person who's actually organized and doing everything. And Khrushchev has gotten like his patience is worn thin about the stupid details and he can't deal with it. He just says, I've been working with Slim Hitler.
All I could think of is, he sold more records than the Beatles and Elvis combined.
Yeah. So there are some funny moments, but I still felt kind of dirty laughing at it because it's like, we just saw 3 people get shot in the head. Or we know that Beria just came out of that jail cell and it had just raped that poor woman. And it's like... Yeah,
it is a brutal, brutal movie. They don't stint on the murder. They don't stint on the rape, the abuse, the everything.
And it's such a...
It was a terrifying time.
It was, and it's such a weird backdrop for a comedy.
Yeah.
We'll decide if it actually works. But, as horrible as this is, and apparently some of the details were softened, it's sadly believable.
A lot of it is true, but the main thing is they compress the timeline. A lot of this stuff happened over months or years. It didn't all happen in a week.
Well, but on the other hand, the change in power and the frequency in which power changed during that time period, I believe, was pretty rapid. It was also well known
up until Khrushchev, because he was in power almost 10 years. Then, of course, along comes Brezhnev.
Right, and Gorbachev.
And he was around for a while.
Yeah.
None of you.
Well, of course.
Well, you forgot all the ones in the middle. There was that period in the 80s when they were just going through, was it Andropov, who lasted about 2 years, Chernyenko.
Who was generally and happily known as Dropo, I think.
Yeah, kind of. He was in
need
fact
a
the laziest
Santa
man in
Claus on
Russia.
Mars.
No, that was Chairman Chochum.
Well, and that's one of the reasons that this movie, even though the frequency gets higher later on, reminds me very much of a board game that I used to play with one of our friends, our mutual friends, Dan, in the 80s called Kremlin. And the funny thing about Kremlin, it is a very dark game because you each have your own party leader candidate. And the goal is to get the candidate to the balcony when the parade goes through, and they have to wave 3 times. And if they don't
That's
wave,
the whole goal.
that is the goal. If they wave
wow.
3 times, they become party leader and you win the game. The problem is that being party leader or being that high up, the strain, the physical strain, the emotional strain was so great that you get like health things like played against you. People would play health cards or drunkenness cards or whatever. And so I think you had to roll a die, and your chance of succeeding, of waving, because sometimes you weren't even, it's like if you want to keep your character in play, you're going to have to make the choice to not wave and hope you can stay in power long enough next year to wave at the parade.
Oh, wow.
It was actually a really funny and really grim game, and here it's brought to life with a bunch of British actors. I kind of want to play that game again. It was actually really funny. But yeah, so Kremlin, look it up. I'm sure it's on eBay somewhere.
There's some of the more subtle things, too. At the end, when they're telling what happened to people and how, Khrushchev was in power until he was supplanted by Brezhnev. Right. And we see him at a recital, of Maria's. And I noticed that the guy sitting right behind him is this younger guy with these huge, thick eyebrows. I'm going, oh, that's supposed to be Brezhnev.
There's lots of things in here that the plotting and the scheming is very well done, feels very believable, and is very intricate, because the one on top is really Beria. And Beria himself, I can't tell if he actually wants to be party leader or not. I think he's actually happier getting Georgi in there, because Georgi's very easy to manipulate. And it's easier to have
hard to tell if
someone to blame.
It's harder to tell if he wants to be the power behind the throne or the guy out front. But
it's also obvious that he's capable of doing it. And he makes one big mistake, and it's later in the film, because he was smart. He sees things coming. So when the first thing that happens when Stalin goes down is he rushes into Stalin's study and finds all the dirt that Stalin has on all the other people. And he uses that later on to basically goes, you guys have to do what I say because I've got all the dirt on you. And that's the mistake he makes, is he does it in front of them. He's like, I know what you did, and I know what you did, and I know what you did. And this allows
Khrushchev... he's pretty much saying, so you better kill me.
Well, and then Khrushchev is like, okay, we need to take him down, right, guys? And they're like, but we have to make sure that all Malenkov is in on the plot, or it has to be all or nothing. And, of course, Malenkov is, a marshmallow.
He's a clown. Yeah. The problem is, but he's also the thing is, he's a self-important clown. He doesn't realize that he is a joke.
Yeah.
And that's probably why he has the job. Stalin was an absolute bastard. He was a terrifying leader, but he wasn't stupid. And he surrounded himself with people he knew would fight each other, jockeying for power, and that kept them more or less away from him.
Yeah.
More or less. That's why they never got to assassinate him, and they couldn't wrench power from him. He was very strong. But Malenkov is like, well, I'm sitting next to him, and I'm the deputy, and obviously he's the deputy general secretary because he's not a threat.
Yeah,
he's not smart enough. He's not ruthless enough. He's not informed enough. He's silly putty, and the others all figure out how to manipulate him.
Yeah, and this, as I said, this film is very, very dark, and the things that they're doing feel all too likely. And there are moments in this film where it's like, wow, that is dark. But near the end of the film basically says, oh, no. Just wait. There's a scene coming, and you'll know what it is. It's when they finally take care of Beria. and the director decides, we want to make sure you know he's dead, so watch this. And he gets...
Yeah, there's really no question of it.
No, because they shoot him in the head, which is, I mean, I've seen, honestly, that part wasn't so bad. It's when they dump the body on the ground, douse it with gasoline, and set fire to it, and don't cut away. So, be warned.
Stand there watching him burn.
This is a dark film.
Very violent.
And I still feel dirty for laughing when I did, but parts of it are funny.
Yep.
Which is not entirely unlike our show. The thing about this film is that, in a way, there's nothing surprising. Usually our show has a surprise, and I'm noticing that the time is telling us that we might need to get to that surprise about now.
The finish.
So, Max.
I'm surprised.
This was a suggestion by our buddy Dave.
Dave, who, by the way, confessed to me later that he has not actually seen this movie.
Wait, what?
Yes, he suggested, and to be fair, we didn't ask people to say their favorite movies, just movies they wanted us to talk about.
So
apparently, a bunch of people in his wargaming group have seen this movie and say it's really good.
So now wait, so he basically got us to watch it so he didn't have to, which is, to be fair, something we've been claiming we've done for 322 episodes.
Yep. Well played, Dave.
Wow.
Well played.
Okay. So Max, you'd heard of it at least.
I had. I think I even saw previews for it.
What did you think of Death of Stalin?
It is very dark. It is very grim, and I really enjoy it.
Huh.
It's something you can just wallow in, because quite honestly, while there's tension, I knew a little bit about Soviet history. And I was like, you know what? I don't care if anything awful happens to any of these people.
Yeah, there's that too. I identified with nobody in this film. Nobody.
No, there's no one. I don't think you're supposed to like anyone. You can sort of respect some of the cunning. You can see some of them are kind of entertaining. I mean, some of the stuff they bring up about Stalin, by the way, he really was a huge fan of American Westerns.
Yeah, and he wasn't alone.
No, but he apparently wrote scripts. He wanted to produce them.
Oh, God.
He wanted to do his own cowboy movies.
Oh, dear. I don't know what it is about the cowboy film, but they are popular everywhere.
Yeah.
The Germans love them, too. The French love them. The French adore them.
People dig horsies.
Yeah, well, I mean, Mobius did tons of comics. His main character, Lieutenant Blueberry, he did tons of Western graphic novels under his real name, Jean Giraud. But there's something about the American West. Well, the Italians obviously love them. They made tons of movies. The Japanese love them, although they call them samurai films. We know what they're doing. So, yeah.
Not as many horses and no hats.
Yeah.
Or fewer hats.
I don't need to see a Stalin Western. Thank you very much.
Nope.
So, yeah, so you liked it. Huh, interesting.
I do. Well, when I talk about I thought I enjoyed it. It entertained me. It kept moving. It's not a nice film. It didn't make me feel good at the end.
Made me feel good.
But
I wasn't there.
laughed. I thought it was funny. What about you?
It's oh boy, it's well made. The British accents thing, I'm not sure about that, because, well, except on one hand, I think if there wasn't British accents, I don't know if it would have been funny. And I kept thinking of Monty Python. There's very much a Monty Python-esque British humor feeling to this. It's just darker than anywhere they ever went. Let's put it this way. I think it's well acted. I think it's well put together. I think it's probably sadly factually accurate. I just don't know if I can recommend it because it's so unpleasant.
It is very unpleasant. This is not a movie if you're in a bad mood.
No. I actually think that I found it darker than Max did, because after I watched it, which I knew would be before Max did, I texted him and said, hey, you might want to have something like Steven Universe or something happy on to watch after this. This is not a film you watch right before going to bed. So, and to be fair, one could draw parallels between these films and current events. So it's uncomfortable. Like, maybe wait a few years. So, yeah, but it's if you have that darker sense of humor, if you appreciate a darker, humorous take on history, especially some of the worst times in history, then this is the film for you. Otherwise, you go and buy a copy of Kremlin on eBay and play that, because it's a little bit more entertaining and a little bit less dark, but it's still probably factually accurate.
But you know what else is entertaining? Our poll question.
Oh, nice transition there. I got to take lessons from you.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a metaphor now. It's going to hurt. No, go ahead.
Yeah. We'd like to know, what is your favorite political film, thriller or otherwise? And you can answer this question by simply standing outside and saying it aloud, and one of secret police will listen to you, record it, and send it to us on Carrier Bat.
No, they won't. I'd like Carrier Bear better. That'd be cool.
Ooh, Carrier Bear.
Hey, the bear's here with the mail. Oh, there's a bear.
But you can, in fact, use this fancy electronic mail all the kids are talking about and send it to us at maxmikemovies.com. You can also go to our website, maxmikemovies.com, and leave a comment, not just about answering the question, but maybe you think we were all full of Jornevsky. Yes, that's a real Russian word. Don't look it up.
We can't. It's impossible to spell.
It's 4 M's and a silent Q. You can also, of course, find us on Glorious Book of Facingness.
Facebook.
Under Max Mike Movies. You can also find us on Blue Sky.
Bluesky. It's a Russian site.
Da!
Well.
And again, if you got something better, if you're all migrating somewhere else, can we come? Can you tell? Maybe give us the address. We could show. We'll bring soda.
Sure.
Where are you kids going these days if it's not Facebook?
Yeah.
Or the Twitter?
What kids?
Oh, I'm sorry. X.
Formerly known as Twitter.
I'm going to keep calling it Twitter because apparently it really annoys him.
Good. Twitter.
It's
Twitter.
It's like also calling the Cybertruck the swastika,
which is hilarious. And apparently it makes him furious.
Oh, hey-oh. And of course, you can find us on the podcast app of your choice.
Yes.
But we are just wading into, remember, you asked for it.
Yeah.
So what is our next cinematic trench we must wade through?
Well, the next one is a suggestion by our resident, I don't know what he does. You claim he solves mysteries in paintings, and sadly,
Daisy O'Brien, landscape painter and amateur sleuth.
Does not thwart nearly enough of anything you do. But he had
so much thwarting.
He cheated a little bit and had quite the list of films, and I wandered through those and was looking at things, and I found, I'm guessing, I've never seen this or heard of this film. I'm guessing it's some sort of documentary on the makers of Thunderbirds and Joe 90 and Supercar.
Oh dear.
Although strangely, they've seemed to have picked a very odd person to play Jerry Anderson. It's this actor, this weird Scottish actor named Sean Connery. Apparently he plays Jerry Anderson in a movie called The Anderson Tapes. I'm almost positive that it's a documentary about Jerry and Sylvia Anderson and the Thunderbirds and Supermarionation.
I don't know this movie, but I'm almost certain you're wrong.
There's a tiny, tiny chance it might actually be an early 70s heist film, but I'm pretty sure it's a film about the making of Thunderbirds and Supercar and stuff like that.
I'm pretty sure that you're insane.
There is only one way to find out, and that's to join us next week where we watch The Anderson Tapes.
Anderson, that's me. This has been a co-production of The Voice of Max and The Movie Wrench.